Hey, January 22nd, 2009. This morning I went over to shoot basketball. Did terrible. Couldn't believe it. I've always been able to medal in basketball, usually in both free throws and long shots. In free throws today, I was, I think, dead last. No medal for me. But I got settled down, I guess, in between and ended up getting the gold medal in long shots. Had 22 points and put me way ahead of whoever was in second place. So I was about as good in the long shots as I was sorry in the free throws. Practice a little next year. This year I just counted on the fact that I could always shoot a basketball anytime, any place, anywhere. Not true anymore. Well, I want to talk about Jim Dixon. Don't know really how we met. I suppose maybe at the day room, maybe at the chow hall. Don't know. I know we weren't, we weren't housemates. Weren't in the same barracks. Certainly not the same floor. And I don't even know where his hangout was. Although I'm sure I visited there at some time because we would drop back and forth to play table games and stuff. Usually, though, met at a day room or somewhere. Jim, I don't know anything. I can't really remember. I suppose I knew a lot then. But, I was a tightwad. I wouldn't spend money because I was saving money to marry that girl. I married Donna. And for whatever reason, it didn't seem to bother Jim that we weren't out spending money, so maybe he was saving up money for something too. I don't really know. But I do know that he introduced me to pen and paper table games. You can buy this game that we played a whole lot, Battleship, as a game box, sheets all prepared, rules. Rules are essentially what he said. We'd line out the paper and number the spaces, and then each would plant his battleships and his cruisers and his destroyers on there, and you have a naval battle. Lots of fun. Played it many, many hours. Incidentally, in thinking about that, it also occurred to me that I've never indicated probably my number one time-consuming, with pleasure, time-consuming task that I carried on in day rooms, or if we had to wait, in the Army, it's hurry up and wait. And, I'd have a scrap of paper stuck in my pocket and be writing a note to Donna. If those letters ever surface, I may be amazed at some of the scribbling that girl tried to decipher, and apparently did. She never griped at me about my handwriting, but it was then and is now not very good. I suspect Jim and I played some card games too, and I think I remember maybe hanging around a radio occasionally, just listen to singing, and maybe even singing along with some of the name songs that we knew. Don't really know. But I know that we didn't spend a whole lot of money. I didn't go to the show very often. I don't remember it, but I imagine that we went to a show together a time or two. Don't care. Jim knew things, he'd heard things that I didn't know and had never heard of. And one of the things that he knew about was if you could get leave for what they call a 3-day pass, and if you'd get it backed up to a weekend. We both worked in offices that weren't open ordinarily on Saturday and Sunday. There was a time or two when we worked a Saturday or a Sunday, but I don't even remember what the occasion was. In fact, I don't think any Sundays. I think maybe a Saturday occasionally. But most of the time we were both off on the weekend. So what if you both got a 3-day pass and backed it up either 3 days before the weekend or 3 days immediately after the weekend, and could get permission from the powers that be to get started on that 3-day pass where you could use the weekend along with the 3 days, and Jim said, I've heard it can be done. Well, then we began to talk. What if? Where would we go? Well, the truth of the matter is, we would go wherever the Air Force planes were going that would be leaving Fort Benning and have room for people. In other words, the Air Force will let the Armed Forces people, including soldiers from the airborne outfits, but, you know, the airmen, Marines, Coast Guard, sailors, soldiers, we were all eligible to hitchhike on those planes on a space-available basis. And boy, we got serious about that. What would we do? Well, you know, I spent a lot of money. I didn't, and it was okay with Jim. He said, you know, I'm not wanting to spend a lot of money either. Well, you know, we ended up, I think we were going to try to have $50 or $60 a piece to take off. And I think we even had a time set to do that prior to the time that I was going to go home and get married. Didn't work out. Whatever. I don't remember the thing that botched that, but that didn't come to pass. But it didn't mean it was forgotten. So my dear sweet bride tells about marrying a man that after she'd only been on post with him for, I don't know, a few months, weeks, he and a buddy take off on a 3-day pass to be gone 5 days and leave her with instructions, if I'm not back, call the colonel and try to explain that I'm doing my best to get back. Patient lady. Still patient with me most of the time. Once in a while gets a little impatient. Well, I get to that story of the hitchhiking 3-day pass, the 5-day leave. It'll take a couple of videos, maybe even 3, to share the experience. Turned out to be quite a thing.